Can you believe it? My millionaire husband actually replaced me, just because I gave birth to 3 girls. He brought a younger woman into my house, my own home, just to get a son, but listen, she had no idea. I was recording her every move. Before I continue, my dear friends, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, like, and share this video with your loved ones. Your support means the world to me. Thank you so much. They say that when the moon is full, the shadows tell the truth. But for a long time, my life didn't have any shadows. My name is Vero, and back then, I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. I was married to Lawrence. Oh, you should have seen him. Tall, dark, handsome, and successful. When he walked into a room, people stopped talking just to look at him. We had everything. A beautiful home, cars, and a love that felt like it would never end. We were happy. Truly, deeply happy. In those early years, our home was filled with the sound of tiny feet. First came Roxanne, then Cassandra, and finally, my little Lilith. My daughters were my world. They had their father's eyes and my smile. Lawrence was a good father at first. He would carry them on his shoulders and buy them the finest dresses. But as the years went by, I noticed a change. The smiles started to fade. The laughter in his voice became shorter. I didn't know it yet, but a storm was brewing in his heart. It started with small comments. "Another girl, Vero," he would mutter while looking at Lilith's cradle. Then, the comments turned into silence. And let me tell you, silence in a marriage is louder than a shout. Lawrence started drinking. He, who used to be so disciplined, would come home smelling of beer and bitterness. He would walk past me without a word, his eyes cold like a stone in a winter river. The man I loved was disappearing right before my eyes. Suddenly, late nights became no nights. I would stay up, sitting by the window, watching the streetlights until 3 a.m. When he did come home, he wouldn't even sleep in our bed. He'd crash on the sofa or go to the guest room. I tried to talk to him. "Lawrence, baby, what's wrong?" I'd ask, my voice trembling. He would just growl, "You wouldn't understand, Vero. You've given me everything except the one thing a man truly needs." I wasn't blind. I knew what he meant. In our culture, people talk. His friends, his family, they were whispering in his ear. "Lawrence, who will carry your name? Who will inherit your wealth? Girls get married and leave. You need a son." I cried until my eyes were red and swollen. I begged him, "Lawrence, please. I will give you a son. We can try again. Just don't shut me out." But his heart had turned to concrete. The worst part wasn't how he treated me, it was how he treated our girls. Roxanne, my eldest, came to me one evening with tears running down her face. "Mummy," she whispered, "why does Daddy hate us so much? Did we do something bad?" I felt like someone had stabbed me in the chest. How do you tell a child that her father sees her as a disappointment just because she wasn't born a boy? I just held them and cried with them. One Friday morning, something felt different. Usually, Lawrence didn't go to the office on Fridays. he handled business from home. But that morning, he grabbed his car keys with a look of determination I hadn't seen in months. "Lawrence, where are you going?" I asked, following him to the door. He didn't even look back. He just revved the engine and sped off, leaving a cloud of dust and a hollow feeling in my stomach. One day turned into 3. 3 days turned into a week. 2 weeks passed, and Lawrence was a ghost. I called his phone. It would ring once, and then, click. Switched off. I called my mother-in-law, crying, "Mama, please, is Lawrence with you?" She sounded distant, cold. "Vero," she said, "a man goes where he is celebrated, not where he is tolerated." I realized then that his whole family was in on it. I was alone. A full month passed before the gates opened. I ran outside, thinking my husband had finally come home to apologize. But the passenger door opened first. Out stepped a woman. She was young, maybe 22, and very beautiful in a sharp, hungry kind of way. Her name was Abigail. Lawrence didn't even look at me. He just grabbed her bag and led her into my house like she was the queen and I was the maid. I waited until Lawrence went to take a shower. I called Abigail into my room. I tried to be calm, even though my heart was screaming. "Abigail," I said, "I am the wife here. I have 3 daughters. We have a life. Please, I am begging you woman to woman, leave us alone. Don't destroy a family." She just smirked at me, looking at her long fingernails. She didn't say a word, but her eyes said everything. "I'm here to take it all." The worst part wasn't how he treated me, it was how he treated our girls. Roxanne, my eldest, came to me one evening with tears running down her face. "Mummy," she whispered, "why does Daddy hate us so much? Did we do something bad?" I felt like someone had stabbed me in the chest. How do you tell a child that her father sees her as a disappointment just because she wasn't born a boy? I just held them and cried with them. One Friday morning, something felt different. Usually, Lawrence didn't go to the office on Fridays, he handled business from home. But that morning, he grabbed his car keys with a look of determination I hadn't seen in months. "Lawrence, where are you going?" I asked, following him to the door. He didn't even look back. He just revved the engine and sped off, leaving a cloud of dust and a hollow feeling in my stomach. One day turned into 3. 3 days turned into a week. 2 weeks passed, and Lawrence was a ghost. I called his phone. It would ring once, and then, click. Switched off. I called my mother-in-law, crying, "Mama, please, is Lawrence with you?" She sounded distant, cold. "Vero," she said, "a man goes where he is celebrated, not where he is tolerated." I realized then that his whole family was in on it. I was alone. A full month passed before the gates opened. I ran outside, thinking my husband had finally come home to apologize. But the passenger door opened first. Out stepped a woman. She was young, maybe 22, and very beautiful in a sharp, hungry kind of way. Her name was Abigail. Lawrence didn't even look at me. He just grabbed her bag and led her into my house like she was the queen and I was the maid. I waited until Lawrence went to take a shower. I called Abigail into my room. I tried to be calm, even though my heart was screaming. "Abigail," I said, "I am the wife here. I have 3 daughters. We have a life. Please, I am begging you woman to woman, leave us alone. Don't destroy a family." She just smirked at me, looking at her long fingernails. She didn't say a word, but her eyes said everything. "I'm here to take it all." Suddenly, the door slammed open. Lawrence stood there, his face purple with rage. "How dare you?" he shouted at me. He pointed a finger right in my face, his voice shaking the walls. "Any day you try this again, Vero, you are leaving this house. Abigail stays. She is my wife now, and she will give me what you failed to provide. Consider this your last warning." I collapsed onto the bed, sobbing. I felt so small, so defeated. I didn't know it then, but Abigail was already pregnant. That was the gift she brought him. Lawrence stopped pretending I existed. He would go to parties with her, buy her jewelry, and take her to the best restaurants, while I stayed home with my daughters, eating the bread of sorrow. My friends told me, "Vero, pack your bags. Leave that man." But something inside me said stay. I built this home. I wouldn't let a stranger burn it down. The months passed like a slow-motion nightmare. Then, Abigail went into labor. Lawrence was pacing the hospital hallways like a madman, praying for his prince. But things went wrong. Abigail had complications. It was a chaotic emergency CS. When the doctor finally came out, his face was grave. "Mr. Lawrence," the doctor said, "the baby is a girl. And because of the internal damage, Abigail cannot conceive again. If she tries, she will die." You should have seen Lawrence's face. It was like he had been hit by a freight train. He had betrayed his loyal wife for a son, only to end up with another daughter and a wife who was now barren in his eyes. He sat on the hospital bench and wept. He didn't know what to do. His plan had failed. His prince was nowhere to be found. A few weeks later, I woke up feeling dizzy. My head was spinning, and the smell of frying fish made me want to faint. I went to the clinic secretly to run some tests. When the nurse handed me the result, I nearly fell over. I was 3 months pregnant. I hadn't even realized, through all the crying and the stress. But I didn't tell Lawrence. Not yet. He didn't deserve to know. I spent my days on my knees. I didn't pray for money or for Lawrence to love me. I prayed one simple prayer: "God, if you are there, give me a son. Not for me, but to show this man that you are the one who gives life, not him." I felt a strange peace come over me. Even as Lawrence ignored me and Abigail glared at me from across the living room, I felt like I was carrying a secret treasure. The day of my delivery was like a scene from a movie. I went into labor at dawn. When the doctor held up the baby and said, "It's a boy, Vero," I let out a scream of joy that echoed through the whole hospital. We named him Frederick. He was perfect. He had Lawrence's chin and a strength in his cry that made my heart soar. The curse was broken. When Lawrence found out, he changed instantly. It was like a demon had been cast out of him. He came to the hospital with flowers, tears streaming down his face. "Vero, my queen," he sobbed, kneeling by my bed. "I am so sorry. I was a fool. I was blind." He bought me a brand new Jeep the next day and threw a party so big the whole city heard about it. But in the corner of the party, I saw Abigail. Her eyes were like twin flames of jealousy. After the party, Lawrence called us both together. He looked ashamed. "Vero," he said, "I made a huge mistake bringing a second wife. But Abigail has nowhere to go, and she has a child for me too. Please, look at her as your sister. Let us live in peace." I wanted to say no, but I wanted my home to be quiet for my son's sake. I agreed. "As long as there is peace," I said. "Peace is a fragile thing." Frederick was growing fast, a healthy, happy boy. But then, he started getting sick. It started with a fever, then vomiting. We took him to the hospital, and the doctors were confused. After many tests, the doctor pulled us aside. "There are traces of something in his system," he whispered. "Something like a slow-acting poison. Is someone else feeding this child?" My heart stopped. I knew. I just knew. I didn't accuse anyone yet. I went home and secretly installed tiny CCTV cameras, the ones that look like smoke detectors, all over the house, especially in the kitchen and the nursery. I told no one, not even Lawrence. I spent my nights watching the feed on my phone, my eyes wide, waiting for the devil to show her face. It was a humid Monday evening, the kind where the air feels heavy, like it's holding a secret. Lawrence was in his study, and I was sitting on the porch, staring at my phone. To anyone else, it looked like I was just scrolling through social media. But I wasn't. I was logged into the I Spy app on my phone, watching a crystal clear 4K feed of my kitchen. I saw my nanny, Deborah, standing at the stove. She was stirring a small pot of organic oatmeal for my baby boy, Frederick. Everything looked normal. Then, the kitchen door swung open. Abigail walked in. On camera, she looked like a shark circling its prey. She was wearing a silk robe, looking calm, but her eyes were darting left and right. "Deborah," Abigail said, her voice sounding thin through my phone's speaker. "I think I dropped my diamond earring in the upstairs hallway. Go find it now. If someone steps on it, I'll have your job." Deborah looked scared. She apologized, turned off the burner, and ran out of the room. My heart started thumping against my ribs so hard it hurt. As soon as the kitchen was empty, Abigail's face changed. The "sweet sister" mask fell off, and a look of pure, cold hatred took over. She reached deep into the pocket of her robe and pulled out a small, clear glass vial. I watched through the camera as she unscrewed the cap. My breath hitched. She reached for Frederick's bowl, her hand shaking slightly. She began to tilt the vial, a thick, colorless liquid dripping toward my son's food. I didn't just run, I flew. I kicked the kitchen door open with a bang that sounded like a gunshot. "Abigail, get away from that bowl!" she screamed, the vial flying out of her hand and shattering across the marble floor. The smell of something chemical and bitter filled the room. Frederick started crying in his high chair, startled by the noise. Vero, you're supposed to be outside. She stammered, her face turning a ghostly shade of gray. I'm everywhere, Abigail, I hissed, stepping toward her and holding up my phone. I saw everything. I saw you try to murder my son. It's all recorded. It's all in the cloud. You're done. Lawrence came running down the stairs. I pointed at the floor, then at my phone. Look at the cameras, Lawrence. Look at your sister. When Lawrence saw the footage, he looked like he was going to faint. Why? He whispered to Abigail. Why would you do this? Abigail didn't cry. She just laughed. A cold, bitter laugh. I wanted you to lose him, she hissed. I wanted you to feel the pain I felt when you started loving Vero again. If I can't be the mother of the heir, no one will. Lawrence didn't even blink. The moment he saw what she had done, he knew there was no other choice. He picked up his phone and called the police. As they led her away in handcuffs, she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just turned slowly, her eyes locking with Lawrence's, and said, "You destroyed me first, Lawrence. Don't think I am the only one hurt here." Lawrence shook his head. He remembered everything she had said the first day he came home. "Lawrence, you think I am happy with this? You said the moment I enter this house, your first wife, Vero, would leave in anger. But she refused. And doctor said that I will not give birth to any children again in my life." Her words had echoed in his head for weeks, but now it seemed like fate had finally decided. She had tried to break his family, tried to destroy Vero, but in the end, her own plans had turned against her. Vero, standing quietly in the corner, couldn't speak. Her eyes were full of tears, but also relief. Lawrence finally exhaled. The storm had passed, for now. But in the world of wealth, betrayal, and power, he knew this was far from over. Today, our home is finally quiet. Lawrence is a changed man, truly changed. He spends every day making it up to me and our 3 daughters. We learned a hard lesson. A home built on tears can never stand, and a man who chases a son while stepping on his daughters is chasing a shadow. Love your children for who they are, because a child is a gift, no matter the gender. So, that is my story. It's hard to tell it even now, but I felt I had to share it with all of you. You know, looking back, I realized that Abigail wasn't the only problem in my home. The real problem started when my husband, Lawrence, stopped seeing his daughters as a blessing and started seeing them as a disappointment. When a man treats his wife like a failure, just because she hasn't given him a son, he opens the door for the devil to walk right in. I'm happy to tell you that Lawrence has spent every single day since then trying to earn our forgiveness. He realized, almost too late, that a prince doesn't make a home. Love does. To all the women watching this, especially my sisters in the overseas, and all over the world, if you are in a house where you are not celebrated, stay strong. Keep your eyes open. And never let anyone make you feel less than a queen just because of the gender of your children. All children are a gift. Period. Abigail is facing the consequences of her actions, and Frederick is growing up healthy, surrounded by his 3 big sisters who absolutely adore him. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with a second wife situation or a family that only valued boys over girls? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if you believe that every daughter is a treasure, show them love. Thank you so much for watching this African tale. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring African stories. And always remember, love, faith, and courage are the greatest treasures you can ever have. God bless you all. Bye.